Al principe straniero offri la prova ardita, o Turandot, Turando. Is that Turandot or Turandot? Let's find out. Okay, if we're talking about Turandot or Turandot or Turan, I don't know, we're probably talking about the opera, which premiered in 1926, 2 years after the death of its composer Giacomo Puccini. The opera is about a princess who kills every guy who proposes marriage to her. Well, first of all, she humiliates them by making them answer 3 ridiculously difficult riddles, and after they get the riddles wrong, then she has their heads cut off and put on a pike outside of town. So anyway, 2 years before the premiere, Puccini went to propose marriage to I'm kidding. I can't remember what he died of. But this was within almost living memory, and we know that Rosa Raiza, who created the role, always said Turandot, and she said that Puccini always said it Turandot. So there, the more you know, Turandot. On the other hand, Puccini's granddaughter Simonetta Puccini says it should be Dot. Il nome italiano non è francese e Dot non è do. And lots of people say that. It's an Italian name, so it's Dot. The problem is, it's not. It's not an Italian name. It's deliberately foreign. This is a non-Italian princess. In the opera, she's Chinese. Does that resolve it? No, not exactly. For one thing, Turandot is not plausible as a Mandarin name. It's not. I can't speak to Cantonese, Fukienese, Hokkien, but I can tell you that in Mandarin, Turandot is phonotactically not permissible. In fact, if you go to China and see the opera, you'll be seeing Turandot. But it doesn't just stop at Puccini. First of all, Puccini didn't write the words. His librettists were Giuseppe Adami and Renato Simone. Okay, both Italian guys. But they didn't make up the name either. They got the story from Carlo Gozzi. He made a play in 1762 called Turandot. Now, if Gozzi had wanted it to be Turandot, he would have written it Turandot without the T. The Italian would be Turandotta, which admittedly in Gozzi's Venetian would be clipped to Turandot, a point that Simonetta Puccini emphasizes. But again, it's not an Italian name, and besides that, Gozzi didn't make it up either. Gozzi got it from a 1712 book called Les Mille et Un Jours by François Petit-Lacroix. French! Yes, the book was French. So does that mean that it's Turandot? No, it does not, because Petit-Lacroix didn't make up the character either. The character is a Persian princess, and her name is from Persian Turandot, which means daughter of Turan, and Turan is a region of Central Asia. On the other hand, Petit-Lacroix is thought to have gotten the character from the poet Nezami, according to whom she was Russian. But the character Turandot, okay, whatever, was really based on a Mongolian noblewoman, a cousin of Kublai Khan, who was named Kutulun. Nothing like Turandot, Kutulun. She was a really good person. She was lots of fun. She loved wrestling. She required anybody who wanted her hand in marriage, first of all, to defeat her in wrestling. If he couldn't defeat her in wrestling, she did not take his head. She took his horse. That was the bet. You wrestle her. If you win, you get to marry her. If she wins, she gets your horse. In fact, between all these different suitors losing to her in wrestling, plus side bets she made on the wrestling matches, she's said to have amassed a herd of about 10,000 horses. Apparently, she did eventually get married. Fast forward to opera, and she's not Kutulun taking guys' horses, she's Turandot taking guys' heads. And just a bit of good advice here, by the way. If a woman has a history of murdering guys who ask her out, don't. Doesn't matter how beautiful or rich she is, don't go up to her in the cafe where she's just reading a book with her headphones on and say, take out your headphones. And when she takes them out, say, oh, you're really beautiful. Could you marry me? because she's gonna have your head cut off instead. Well, but none of that solves the question, is it Turandot or Turandot? Well, Gozzi wanted dot, Puccini wanted do. Surely there's a tidy answer. Surely. That puts me in mind of another composer, something else I've sung. Handel's Messiah. Now, if you're familiar with Handel's Messiah, you know there's a part in it where the choir goes, surely, surely, he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, surely. And has it ever struck you as a bit odd? Surely, it's not quite natural, and Handel was a very good composer. It's a strange thing for him to have done. The thing is, the Messiah was not composed by George Frederick Handel. It was composed by Georg Friedrich Händel. He may have been naturalized as a British citizen, he may have been fluent in English, but at the end of it, he was German, and he didn't have a completely native sense of what you could and couldn't do with English. So he expected the singers to sing, surely, surely, he hath borne, etc., surely, which is much more musical, right? The thing is, though, it's more musical, but it sounds weird to the average Anglophone. Surely, what? No, it should be surely. So you are stuck on the horns of a dilemma. At least it's better than a dilemma of horns. Orchestra joke. Do you go with the more musical, surely, or the more natural sounding, surely? I mean, natural. At least we're not singing, surely, surely. Well, unless you jest. So what does this tell us for Turandot or Turandot? Well, another thing that I sang in, besides the Messiah many, many times, when I was with the Toronto Mendelssohn Choir, was the Millennium Opera Gala. 20 years ago at Roy Thompson Hall, and one of the things we sang was an excerpt from Turandot, and it was conducted by Mario Bernardi, who said Turandot. So we in the choir sang, Al principe straniero, offri la prova ardita, o Turandot, Turandot. Do you think it's less musical than if we had sung, O Turandot, Turandot? I think it is, actually, but hey, he's Mario Bernardi, and I'm not, so what do you know? But people have opinions. The thing, though, in this case, is that, unlike surely, which is a word we use fairly often, Turandot or Turandot is a word that only comes up in the context of this particular work. And a lot of people aren't even sure how to pronounce it, so you can just make a decision. Does that mean it will be the right decision? But if you're in a performance of Turandot, my advice to you is to do what the director or the conductor tells you to do. If they say Turandot, you say or sing Turandot. If they say Turandot, you say or sing Turandot. Because above all, you don't want a bunch of people, some going Turandot and some going Turandot. That's extremely distracting. It's very problematic, okay? And there are bigger fish to fry in this opera. People get their heads cut off. One of the main characters doesn't even have a name. That's kind of a key plot point. And if you're in the audience and you hear them sing it one way and you have a strong opinion about it because you know all these facts and you're quite sure that if they're singing Turandot, it should be Turandot because it's Italian, or if they're singing Turandot, it should be Turandot because it's musical, well, here's a gold star for you. You know a thing. You developed an informed opinion. Isn't it wonderful? Now sit down, shut up, and listen to the opera, for heaven's sake. Honestly. It just doesn't matter that much. And now, can we all get some sleep?